Wow. Another one? No way. Your pocket. See? Believe this guy? Second goal. He scored 2 goals tonight. And fifth goal!
You know, I don't usually make videos about one particular player because how much can you really say about one player to fill up an entire video? But after last night's game, I think we need to talk about Tage Thompson, and I don't think just a little segment of a video would be enough. So we're making this entire video on Tage, and before we talk about his season as a whole so far, let's just focus on the game last night between the Sabres and the Blue Jackets. And I won't lie, even though this is my job and I watch tons of games every single night, I didn't tune in for the start of that game between Buffalo and Columbus because, well, I just really wasn't that excited for a game between these two teams, you know, here in December. That didn't really mean much. But after I seen what took place in that first period, I definitely tuned in for the rest of the game. And if you don't know what happened in that first period of last night's game, Tage Thompson had 4 goals and 1 assist. 4 goals and 1 assist for 5 points in the first period. Absolutely insane. Obviously, Tage Thompson went on to score another goal in the second, finishing that game last night with 5 goals and 1 assist, 6 total points. And the crazy part about that is that actually was Tage Thompson's second 6-point outing of the season. He had one earlier this year against the Red Wings as well. Obviously, the 6-point outing last night against the Blue Jackets, though, I would say a lot more impressive just because of how it went down. Tage Thompson came close to breaking a lot of records and actually set some records. Some of those being tying the Sabres' single-game goal record with his 5, matching Dave Andrechuk's 5-goal game that he had in 1986. And Tage Thompson also set a new team franchise high for points in a period with the 4 points he had in the first. His 5 goals were the second most ever in a road game in NHL history. His 4 goals in the first period, which took only 16 minutes and 40 seconds, was the second fastest 4-goal effort to begin a game in league history. Only Joe Malone was faster, doing it in 8 minutes and 45 seconds in 1921. And his 4 first period goals also tied an NHL record for the most goals in a single period, and he became the 4th player ever to do so in the opening period. So obviously an unbelievable historic night for Tage Thompson, and he continues to just build on a season that really doesn't make any sense. This is really one of the craziest career turnarounds and leaps to superstardom out of nowhere that I have ever seen, and I think that has ever happened in league history. Usually when it comes to superstar players, the best players in the NHL that are putting up numbers like Tage Thompson is putting up now, you can kind of see it coming. Obviously they're top draft picks, or you can see flashes of greatness early on in their career. And although Tage Thompson was a first-round pick, through the first 145 games of his career, basically before last season began, there was no signs that he was ever going to be able to come close to doing what he's doing right now. There was no guarantee that he was ever even going to become an above-average NHL player. Looking at his numbers through his first 145 games, so before last season, 18 goals, 17 assists, 35 points, and then you jump ahead and look at his totals from the past 2 seasons, his last 104 games, 59 goals, 49 assists, 108 points. Like I said, really just hard to wrap your head around, and obviously everyone remembers the big contract extension the Sabres gave him in the offseason after last year where he had his first breakthrough season, 7 years, $50 million, a deal that was heavily criticized by a lot of people because of the risk involved giving, $50 million to a guy over 7 years who only had 1 good season in his career up until that point. And you look back at that deal now, and the deal hasn't even kicked in yet. It doesn't kick in until next season. It's already looking like a steal. Just imagine if the Buffalo Sabres waited to extend Tage Thompson until after this season. Taking a look at his numbers this year among the rest of the league, 21 goals, 3rd best in the league, 40 points, 4th best in the league, 23 even strength points, 5th best in the league, 340 minutes and 54 seconds of total time on ice, which is 93rd amongst forwards. This is one of the most efficient offensive producers in the league, and that's at both 5-on-5 and the power play. He has a 4.987 points per 60, which is 2nd best in the league, and also a 3.808 even strength points per 60, which is the 3rd highest mark in the league. Right now, this season, at this very moment in time, Tage Thompson is legitimately one of the best players in the league. Could you imagine someone saying that to you, 2 years ago? And up until this point in the video, we've really only focused on his career turnaround, how he's a little bit of a late bloomer, didn't really produce much through his first few seasons, haven't even really dove into the fact that this guy is a literal giant who is 6'8" on skates and is doing things that you just should not be able to do at that size. I've said this on the channel in the past and I've caught some heat for this. Let me know if you guys think this is a little bit of an over-exaggeration, but I legitimately think Tage Thompson is one of the most unique players the league has ever seen. When has there ever been a player in NHL history who is Tage Thompson's size, can skate like him, has hands like him, and has a shot like him, and produces like the way he's producing right now? There's never been another player like this before. The closest thing I feel like you can make the comparison to is Zdeno Chara, who was a superstar defenseman at his peak, but obviously Chara was a defenseman and played a completely different style than the style Tage Thompson plays. If you haven't got a chance to watch Tage Thompson this season, if you don't watch many Buffalo Sabres games, I really recommend you tune into some, because this guy is, like I said earlier, he's must-watch TV right now. It seems like 75% of his goals minimum are highlight reel goals. He scores in so many different ways in tight because of his amazing set of hands. He's almost perfected using his body and using his size to his advantage, and he has a hell of a shot, a hell of a one-timer especially, and we've seen that on display multiple times this season on the power play. And the one last thing I want to look back at here kind of before I finish out this quick little video is revisiting the Ryan O'Reilly trade. Obviously the trade that sent Tage Thompson to the Buffalo Sabres from the St. Louis Blues, a trade that after the St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup, a season in which Ryan O'Reilly won the Selke Trophy, was viewed as one of the most lopsided trades in recent memory. The full details of that trade were Ryan O'Reilly the sole piece going to the St. Louis Blues, and the Buffalo Sabres acquired Vladimir Sobotka, Patrick Berglund, Tage Thompson, a first rounder in 2019, and a second rounder in 2021. Obviously still a little bit too early to really determine the value of the prospects that the Sabres drafted with those picks. I believe they might have actually traded that second round pick as well. But even if this deal was just Tage Thompson 1-for-1 for Ryan O'Reilly, a deal that was once viewed as one of the worst in recent memory, is now looking like a win-win for both sides. One of the biggest win-win deals we've seen in a very long time. And I feel like this all really just proves the point that you got to be really patient when it comes to a lot of things, just in sports in general, not just the NHL. When it comes to trades, obviously like the one that we just looked at, you can't really determine the winner of a trade after just 1 or 2 seasons in most cases. And you also got to be pretty patient with prospects, with young players. Tage Thompson is living, breathing proof of that. Obviously this is an extremely rare case, and we're probably not going to see something like this happen again in a very long time. But while this is happening, while Tage Thompson is playing like this, while he's at his peak, I'm just going to enjoy it because the dude is one of the most fun players to watch in the league. But that is pretty much going to wrap up today's video, going over Tage Thompson and his historic night last night in that game against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and just his last 2 seasons as a whole, and how he has really turned his career around and broke out into a superstar in the league kind of out of nowhere. As always, I'm really interested to hear your guys' thoughts, especially if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan. I mean, I'm sure you guys are enjoying this more than anybody. Let me know all of your thoughts down below on Tage Thompson. Is this a guy that we should all be calling a franchise player already? He's certainly producing like one right now. Do you guys think he's going to be able to keep this up? All your thoughts on Tage Thompson, let me know down below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to leave it a like. That is the best way to show your support. And let me know if you guys want to see more videos like this, just dedicated to one player. And last but not least, if this was your first time checking out the channel and you want more NHL content just like this all season long, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll talk to you all soon.